Hello, I'm Dr Diane Colman and I would like to welcome you to Australian Cultural Policy in Practice. In this unit, you'll get a real insight into the Australian experience, what it means to be Australian. We'll be looking at Australia's history and culture, how these have shaped the Australian national identity, and how images of Australia are promoted through government policies, cultural institutions, and important cultural events. We'll be covering a lot of ground in this unit. We'll start off by looking at Australia's cultural heritage, from Australia's First Nations people, the arrival of the British, the more recent move to multiculturalism, and Australia's worldview. We'll then examine government cultural policies and the major cultural institutions in Australia. We'll then immerse ourselves in Australian culture by going through Australian film, art, Australia's passion for sport, Australian literature, and the Aussie music scene. This brings us to the learning outcomes for the unit. By the end of the unit, you should be able to analyse the Australian cultural identity in relation to a range of current or historic debates, evaluate examples of Indigenous culture, multiculturalism, and inherited British and Commonwealth cultures, inherit the roles of state and non-state agencies in the cultural sphere and policy development, and develop proposals that represent Australian identity in major cultural events and anniversaries. There are 3 assessment tasks to see if you have met the learning outcomes. The first one is a summary of the controversy surrounding the celebration of Australia Day on the 26th of January each year. The second task is a critical analysis of how the Australian cultural identity is being represented through the discourse of a major Australian cultural institution. Leading on from this, the third task is a proposal for the staging of a major Australian cultural event. This includes a 10-minute presentation and a written report. You'll find all the details of these tasks and the due dates under the Assessments tab on Views. We'll talk more about them as the semester progresses. This has just been a brief introduction to the unit. You'll find more information on Views. You'll see the learning materials have been organised into modules for each of our topics. There's another short lecture to follow for this topic. Thank you for joining me in this semester tour of the Australian imagination. I hope you enjoy learning about Australian culture as much as I have enjoyed putting it all together for you.